Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is your first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
we're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get one that we know of, so you'd better make the most of it.
Well, dear co-uncles.
Yes.
Haru.
Hello.
We have arrived against all possible odds at the arbitrarily round number of episode 80.
Yes,
Holy
indeed.
cow.
And we've done so across a continent.
That's right.
That's right. There's between us, there is the world's largest undefended border, which becomes more defended by the day.
So there's,
I'm
yes.
in studio Northeast this time.
That's
so
right.
I'm in Toronto. And if there's any audio gewgaws, we'll figure it out by the next show or two, I do hope.
Be patient with us.
One hopes, but yes, me and Uncle Doug, we represent the southern contingent.
That's right. We're face to face.
Today, Doug, you're going to introduce us to some folk.
I'm going to tell a story with possibly the worst ending conceivable.
Well,
we do that most weeks.
yeah, exactly. What's different about that?
Dan, you have a little fish talk.
Yeah, I figure we'll talk about some fish. We'll maybe delve into some gourds. Who knows what's going to happen?
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's get right into it.
Hey, Uncle Mark.
Hello.
When was the last time you visited the land of Dr. Pepper?
Is he from somewhere?
Are we recording? Where the fuck is where's the land of Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper
Peppertown?
was invented in and is still very, very popular in a small town in Texas.
Is that true?
Yeah. And I've been there, and I believe that you've been there, and I believe that Uncle Doug is going to tell us a little bit about something
on
else.
this episode of Soda Talk. Pop Talk.
It's Pop Talk with Uncle Doug.
The origins of your favorite.
I'm going to have to rewrite my bit, but here we go. So, dear uncles, we've often looked into the dark corners of the religious universe at various wackadoo sects and cults.
Yes.
However, there are only a handful that sit in the Cult Hall of Fame. Jim Jones in episode 6 and Heaven's Gate in episode 61, for example. There are many others. Today's cult certainly belongs in their ranks, as it will be the 26th anniversary of their quite literal flameout. Sorry.
Ooh.
I want to talk about the Branch Davidians. Yeah, I know. I tried to keep my fire jokes to a minimum because it's not really very funny.
Sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
So,
I'm sorry. Just to explain, Waco, Texas has two things going for it. It has
the Branch Davidians.
Branch Davidians and Dr. Pepper. It was the only thing I could think
If I were them, I'd lean heavy on the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, right?
Well, Jesus doesn't give with both hands.
Prune soda. Let's go.
The Branch Davidians, a.k.a. the Branch, were formed in 1955 from a schism in the Shepherd's Rod Davidians, itself an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventists.
We're big fans of schisms here.
That's right.
And rods.
The Shepherd's Rod Davidians were formed in 1929 when its founder, one Victor Hotef, was disfellowshipped for heretical beliefs. Namely, he thought that the Seventh-day Adventists were too soft and needed to tighten up. It's always a good sign when a member of your strict religious cult thinks you're too lax.
Yeah.
Hotef
We've had some of those in Mormonism, for
We've
sure.
had more than a few. And yeah. Hotef published his seminal work, The Shepherd's Rod, which unfortunately is not a romance novel set in rural Wyoming. The book was a typical apocalyptic religious pablum, listing many perceived abominations in the modern world, speculating on the identity of the 144,000 from the Book of Revelation, and his own special interpretations of the book of Isaiah, which is where all lunatics go to give scriptural validity to the voices in their heads.
Yeah.
So it was this Hotef guy who took this new church and settled them in Mount Carmel near Waco, Texas, home of Dr. Pepper.
Let's just keep hitting that.
Let's see if we can get Dr. Pepper to sponsor the show. Dr. Pepper and Wonder Bible.
Do great tastes. They go well together. Oh,
I
okay.
hate Dr. Pepper. I hate it so much.
I actually adore Dr. Pepper. My favorite soda, bar none.
Oh, it's so gross.
I'm a Mr. Pibb guy.
You know what? I like Mr. Pibb, but when people compare the two, I get angry because one of those actually went on to get a advanced degree, and I think we need to be more respectful.
We're about to have a schism on the podcast. So Mount Carmel, incidentally, was named after the place where Elijah called the Israelites back to worship God.
Sure.
Quick
great.
question. Is there a square foot in Israel where some prophet didn't call the Israelites back to God? I don't think so.
It's a great question.
No, they kept finding their way away from God. Like,
It was amazing how quickly they
the
did
second
too.
he walked out of the room.
If you read any part of the book, like the good guys are straying from God, that page or the page thereafter.
Moses goes to take a dump, and it's golden calf.
The Jews are the least dependable people in the history of
It's
literature.
literally the largest case of mass ADHD that has ever been
Yeah.
recorded.
They had gold smelting technology. It's on the standby.
The fire's always burning.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the Branch Davidians. The sect actually grew into the tens of thousands in the early 1950s, but after Hotep's death in 1955, the sect split into several factions. Hotep's wife seized power but couldn't prevent the church from fracturing. And so
Yeah, because she was a woman.
That's right. Several months later, a guy named Benjamin Roden founded the Branch Davidians. Now, this splinter group of a splinter group believed in some things that were even too weird for the Rhodites, like that the Holy Spirit is a female, for example. Yeah, strange stuff. Yeah.
A girl ghost.
That's right.
Lady ghost.
Now I've heard everything. Incidentally, the term branch in their name does not refer to the fact that they branched off, which is what I always thought, but that they were anointed as the branch, the holy branch in the book of Zechariah 3:8 and 6:12. Goes on to say, "Listen, high priest Joshua, and the people with you, you stand for things that will happen. I am to bring a branch, a servant called Branch, blah, blah, blah." So that's where the Branch and Branch Davidians comes from.
I
What
feel
does
like
that mean, a servant called Branch?
His name is Branch. That's what it says. It says, yeah.
Or is it just a branch, like a limb of a tree?
It goes on to say, "I'm going to bring my servant called the Branch."
your name is Branch.
Yeah.
I feel like the eventually all of the crazy cults are going to run out of incredibly obscure Bible passages to name themselves
I
after.
agree.
I'm just worried.
I agree.
I'm
I know it's
then
like
again, it's a very long book.
The more
They'll find it.
esoteric it is, the more validity it has. Something like
Yeah,
that.
the snake handlers are the Church of God with signs following.
That's right. Which I love.
Yeah.
We're the begats. That's what our cult is called.
We're the and Jesus wept.
They're the golden weasels.
and it came to passes.
Benjamin Roden died in 1978, and after a brief power struggle with his wife and son, Vernon Howell took command of the Davidians. Vernon Howell, a.k.a. David Koresh. We'll get to that.
Oh, I thought Vernon Howell. I thought you were going to talk. You were talking about the old guy on Gilligan's Island.
Yep, and that's why everybody died at the end of Gilligan's Island.
That's right.
It's been a giant fire. So
Janet Reno busts onto the island.
George Roden, who was the son of the previous Roden, wasn't going out without a fight. And in a series of events that would preview what was to come in all their well-armed stupidity, young Roden challenged Vernon Howell to raise the dead as a contest to see who should run this religion.
That's a great one.
And in preparation for the showdown, Roden exhumed a body for the demonstration.
Oh my God!
Instead of meeting him on the field of dumbass, Howell saw an opportunity to simply get his rival arrested for the crime of grave robbing. This led to a raid by Vernon Howell and 7 of his followers on the Mount Carmel compound in 1987. Although they brought an astounding amount of weapons and ammunition, they failed to bring a camera to capture the evidence. So this led to a trial that ended with no one going to jail. No word on what became of the corpse. So Vernon Howell now ascended to the leadership of the church and changed his name to David Koresh, humbly referring to King David and Cyrus the Great. Koresh is Hebrew for Cyrus. So humble man.
Yeah.
So
And-
often true in cultish prophets.
That's
there.
right.
And both anti-heroes in biblical.
Well, they certainly dovetail with his own personal proclivities.
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, those are both. When you hear Christians trying to be okay with Donald Trump,
It's Cyrus.
it's
Yeah.
Cyrus and David. Those
That's
are the
right.
two that they talk about nonstop. Well, he's not perfect, but Cyrus was not even. He was not a Christian. Yeah,
I mean, he's almost perfect, but
right.
So in what followed in a move that we former Mormons will find inevitable, Koresh started taking wives.
Right.
Some were single women at the compound, some were the wives of his other followers, and some were children as young as 12.
Classic.
Yeah,
Oh,
Who could have seen it?
classic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really why you start a religion.
Seems to be.
True to form.
In the next few years, the Davidians abandoned many of the beliefs that their predecessors had espoused and became enthralled to Koresh's new brand of millennial interpretations of the Bible. He especially claimed to be the world's preeminent scholar on the Book of Revelation and the 7 seals found in it. Now, in episodes 58 and 60, we covered this subject, and to call the book open to interpretation would be an understatement. But Koresh insisted that the Davidians refer to themselves as students of the 7 seals going forward. So,
Wow. Well, that's pretty important.
of the many cults we've covered on this show, some put the charismatic into charismatic cult leader, like Jim Jones or Joseph Smith.
Sure.
Some, however, like Maharaji or L. Ron Hubbard, are beyond my understanding as to how you could follow such sloths. However, David Koresh, I get. He is no doubt about it, a child-raping, murderous monster. But if you watch the YouTube videos of his preaching, there is something there that is intriguing. And so I kind of get how he could have done this. With
he
credulous
wasn't.
people.
He wasn't like the kind of. He wasn't a charmer. He was intriguing.
Yes, exactly.
He had this sense about him of like.
He had an intensity.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you felt. You definitely felt like, oh shit.
Yeah. And he was a handsome man. He had a very interesting way of preaching, and he had that kind of street preacher mentality where he was in the room with you and had the Bible open all the time. I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Doug is very vulnerable to charismatic, handsome men.
That's right.
I've gotten him out of more than one pickle.
if you are one
if you want-
charismatic cult leader, reach us at howtoheretic.com.
That's right. If you would like a new member of your cult, write to Uncle Doug at.
So Koresh began preaching that the end of days were nigh, and that the final showdown would be between the faithful and Babylon, which he identified as the U.S. government.
Oh, of course.
That's
Classic.
right. In preparation for this inevitable showdown, the Davidians, who were already well armed, began seriously stockpiling weapons. Remember that only months earlier, in August of 1992, was the Ruby Ridge incident. For those who don't remember, I'm sure most of you do, that's where Randy Weaver, an anti-government militia member, was living with his family in an isolated hilltop cabin in northern Idaho because his greatest fear was that the government would attack him and his family and take away their guns. So the government attacked him and his family to take away their guns.
Right.
The
And they killed his dog.
Yes, and his daughter and his son.
And his dog.
And his dog. And the resulting siege also ended up in the death of 2 U.S. Marshals. So this was a majorly fucked up operation with bad decisions and miscommunications galore. The ATF's involvement in this incident was, shall we say, incompetent.
That would be the the agency for alcohol, firearms, and tobacco.
Correct. So anxious to redeem...
Which those things all make total sense
know,
to
right?
group together.
And they have explosives now. So,
Yeah.
why not reward them with explosives after what they've done?
I think they've added radishes as well. It's a strange portfolio, but an important one.
It's like a patron saint. Yeah. So anxious to redeem their reputation and show that they too could look badass in their gear, on February 28th, 1993, they decided to serve search warrants to the Branch Davidians on possible child abuse and gun violations. So what happened next only seems inevitable in hindsight. In fact, the shootout and siege that followed were such a comedy of errors and misjudgments, miscommunications, missed opportunities, and rank stupidity that it's actually kind of amazing that it happened at all. So, if one were to decide to act on well-founded accusations of child abuse and weapons violations at a compound of people who believed to the soles of their feet that the impending end of the world would soon come in the form of armed government agents, there are various ways that one could go about this. One might try to use the local sheriff, who the members of the compound trusted, as a liaison and begin a dialogue. I am not saying that this could have prevented what was to come, but dressing up in black tactical gear and loading up on the top of transports with guns and helicopter support would seem to be a provocative act. So,
Wait, how do you figure?
the ATF geared up like they were either storming Bora Bora or entering a black neighborhood.
It's kind of like a super weird Make-A-Wish,
Yeah, totally.
right? It's like when all of San Francisco turned into Gotham for Batman.
That's
Kid.
right.
Yeah.
The ATF is like, well, let's make this happen.
You got to give the
the
people what they want.
yeah.
I mean, they wanted. This is their dream apocalypse.
Exactly. So they set out extremely heavily armed, but they didn't bring very much ammunition, which is something that will be relevant very soon.
Oh my God!
So that morning, somehow a local press got wind of the raid, and on their way to try to go cover what was about to happen at Mount Carmel, they got lost, and they asked a local mail carrier to find their place to the raid. The mail carrier happened to be a Davidian.
Right.
They asked, I'm sorry, what's the address of the raid?
Yeah, we're going to go cover a raid at the Branch Davidian compound. Do you know where it is? He's like, I do, as a matter of fact.
And wait, before you go, let me just make a quick phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
Boop, 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 boop.
Exactly. So that Davidian raced back and told Koresh what was coming. Amongst the Davidians was a gentleman named Robert Rodriguez, who was an ATF plant. And it turns out the Davidians were wise to him the whole time. Oh. So they brought him up and said, listen, we know what's coming. Go tell him we know. They're walking into it. He did and was ignored. So
Wow.
Wait, he was ignored by the ATF?
he went out and told the ATF they know you're coming. They're loading guns as we speak. The ATF's like, rock and roll, motherfucker.
They don't know.
We didn't bring a lot of ammo, and we don't have enough gas money to get back. So
That is not far off.
we're doing this.
Exactly. So at 9:45 a.m., 77 ATF rolled up in force on the Mount Carmel compound.
Piled out of their armored clown car.
Pretty much. David Koresh initially opened the front door and tried to calm the ATF, but by then they were in full berserker mode. So now at this point, you have an unstoppable force heading directly towards an immovable object. No one knows who shot first, and it doesn't really matter at this point, but all hell broke loose. The ATF managed to get ladders on the building and a couple agents inside. It's the footage that we've all seen.
Yeah.
But once the Davidians opened fire, the ATF was fucked. 4 agents died and 16 were wounded. 5 Davidians were killed and an unknown number were wounded. The Davidians kept up fire.
In the initial volley.
In the initial volley, yeah. Then it settled into this just kind of pitched firefight.
Yeah.
For 2 hours. The Davidians just kept firing on them for 2 hours until the ATF ran out of ammo and were basically sitting ducks. So confident were they that Operation Trojan Horse, which is what they called it, would go smoothly. The ATF hadn't bothered to notify any other local
And they
or
had
federal.
not bothered to build
A horse.
a handsome wooden horse.
That's right. That's rule number 1.
Rule number 1 with Operation Trojan Horse: have a
It's
horse.
just the army standing outside the gate. Who brought the horse? All right.
Lancelot, Galahad, and I will leap out of the rabbit.
That's right. I am not here to defend the Branch Davidians, but at this point, they could have absolutely killed each and every ATF member if they'd wanted to. They had thousands of rounds of ammo, clear firing positions, and a pretty clear understanding of what would have happened if the shoe was on the other foot. However, they allowed the ATF to retreat under ceasefire with their fallen. Now things settled into the famous siege that would last for 51 days.
Oh, my God.
The
Yeah.
FBI...
That is not a small amount of days.
It is not.
Yeah.
The FBI took over at this point and began negotiating with Koresh, but the assurances...
They brought another box of bullets.
That's right.
They went down to the local sporting goods store.
Just 1 round per cop. It's a bunch of Barney Fifes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. The negotiators would give assurances and concessions to Koresh, but then the tactical teams would back away from those. So trust eroded pretty quickly, and things could have ended differently, but they didn't. During the siege, the FBI cut their power and water, shined bright lights into the compound, and blasted loud music and the sounds of animals being killed all night for weeks on end.
Oh my God!
Yeah, the sound of rabbits being slaughtered. Yeah.
Fucking
What?
nightmarish.
Yet during the siege, very, very few people left the compound.
And there were children in that compound.
Many children, dozens of children.
They're, oh my God!
Yeah, and they what they thought was we'll make it hard for them and they'll give up because these people couldn't possibly believe what they claimed to
Well,
believe.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that like they're banking on
Rational behavior.
Yeah.
rational behavior, but they're doing it with fundamentalists. It's
Right.
it's like saying, well, if we talk to this, this suicide bomber,
That's right.
He'll clearly not pull the.
What they failed to understand is that for the people inside the compound,
This
they
was
were
playing
acting
out.
rationally.
This was
Yeah.
playing out as expected.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This was
exactly.
they're just moving through the
David
the
Koresh
process.
had told them this was coming, and it came.
That's right.
Yeah, this is at this point they're fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
You're not going to get them to like negotiate
This is
their
fucking
way.
proof of everything they believe.
Yeah,
Right.
they're getting deeper.
The beast is now coming to the
That's right.
Satan himself in Revelation is coming to them and being
That's
like,
right.
"Hey, how can we get out of this bind we're all in?"
That is right. So by mid-April, the new Clinton administration had had enough, and Attorney General Janet Reno approved the April 19th raid on the compound. Early on that morning, huge assault vehicles drove up to the compound, punched holes in the walls, and began pumping CS gas or tear gas in. The expectation was that it would become so unbearable inside the Davidians' compound that they would finally come out.
It did.
It did, yeah. After 6 hours of nonstop pumping of this gas and ramming holes in the walls, the Davidians had not come out. None of them had come out.
That's crazy.
It turns out that one thing you often buy when preparing for the fiery end of the world is gas masks.
Right, yeah.
So then around noon, 3 fires started nearly simultaneously inside the compound and spread quickly. Who started the fire remains a mystery to this day, depending on who you believe. It's a pretty hotly contested issue.
Well, it's something that we can't know. But, I mean, it's equally plausible
That's right.
that the ATF either accidentally or on purpose, probably accidentally, but who knows?
Right.
At this point, they've acted so stupidly.
They don't deserve the credit.
Maybe, yeah.
That's right.
The benefit of the doubt at all.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe somebody said, well, maybe we can smoke them out if we start a fire.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's difficult to watch what went down and not feel that something had gone terribly wrong.
But it's also not impossible to believe that David Koresh himself, a
Right.
doomsday fucking cult leader, could start a fire in his own compound
Right.
Who at this
and
point-
say we're all going to heaven now.
And at that point, realizing he's out of options.
And that's certainly possible. In fact, plausible. The one thing I'd say is that many of the survivors, there were a few, all claim that although they were millennialists, they were not a suicide cult. They never talked about mass suicide.
Right.
They didn't prepare for mass suicide. But maybe with his back against the wall, that's what he decided to do.
I mean, that's kind of what Jonestown was.
Right. As the hot and unrelenting Texas winds whipped the fire into an inferno, we've all seen this footage. Only 9 Davidians were left or were thrown free from the burning compound. The remaining Davidians, including dozens of children, died in the fire and the collapsing buildings. Some suffered gunshot wounds, including Koresh and his deputy Steve Schneider. Some children were shot, presumably to spare them from the fate of burning to death. Many families sought refuge in a buried school bus that must have become one of the worst nightmares imaginable. Like I said, I'm not.
The school bus was meant to be like a
bunker.
fallout.
It was like a
shelter.
bunker, yeah, in case of bombing.
It was a buried school.
That's
yeah.
right, buried school bus. Now, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I would just simply say that this could be a really good place to apply Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity.
Indeed.
So, many people did see this as a deliberate plot by the government to cleanse the righteous from the earth. Among them, of course, was Timothy McVeigh, who did spend a few days in Waco during the siege. And this incident still gives a lot of energy and life to religious millennialist cults to this day.
And we should remind people that McVeigh was the one who, on the anniversary of the siege, blew up the federal building
In Oklahoma City.
killing
City.
160 plus
Yeah.
people. And one thing the ATF got so wrong is we were
Another
talking
Christian terrorist. We should
about another
point out.
Christian terrorist.
Yes.
One thing the ATF got wrong was thinking these people didn't really believe what they claimed to believe, which is ironic because I'm sure most of them were Christians,
Yeah.
but they
Well, it's not ironic because probably the way that they were Christians, they didn't believe what they purported to believe.
fair enough. So
Most, cult leaders or cult members, like intense little sects of religion, are the true believers.
that's right. Yeah,
Regular old Christians,
yeah.
Yeah. What a confluence of terrible fucking.
they believe it on every third Sunday when they're actually dragged to church,
That's
and then
right.
they kind of don't believe it when they're out fishing.
Now,
with
Douglas
their
and I
buddies.
went to the remains, and I seem to remember that school bus is still
Yeah,
there.
it's been dredged out.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
from when it was a crime scene.
I
and
was
it's still
there,
sitting
too.
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still there.
It was
Yeah,
an
it's-
eerie spot.
It's a crazy. It doesn't, and it's it's still there's still a church there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's still, but it
Most of it's gone. There's foundations.
all the giant building
Yeah.
that they were all holed up in is
the one thing we
completely gone.
recognize and people will recognize from the aerial footage is the pool.
Right.
That's still there.
Which
well,
is
the foundations of the building, the basement
That's
is still
right.
there.
Yeah.
And it's full of water and reeds. And when we were there, all you could hear were box turtles, shells bonking around.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It was really strange.
Yeah, and it's a hugely dark chapter in American history, and no one was really held accountable for it.
Well, and what's interesting is that this story is not a story of it's a story of not a cult gone wrong, but a society that didn't know how to deal with a cult.
Right.
And I don't know that we've learned any lessons. I mean, I don't know that we.
No, I mean
Yeah.
we look at you look at how the American government thinks it should deal, especially anybody. They think they should deal with Islamic fundamentalists
Right.
or whatever, and the idea is always find a way to further antagonize.
That's right.
Let's make it worse for them.
Or maybe, the problem we have in this state and neighboring states, the polygamous cults like Warren Jeff's cult, maybe post Waco, the whole thing is just leave them the fuck alone.
Right.
Well, and that's the other, and then you're falling way too far on the side,
Right,
of
where you're not protecting
permissiveness.
these children and
Right.
and people that are being abused by them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, Utah has been notorious for just sort of
ignoring.
looking the other way,
Yeah.
even though it's even though you'd think that like these polygamist cults would be a black eye.
Well, you
for-
got to think that any law enforcement officer walking up towards any religious cult has in the back of his mind Waco, and
Yeah.
probably lays off to a shocking degree.
And we know that I'm sure those guys are armed to the teeth down there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all this has been is good solutions, good answers.
Yes.
Fun stuff.
Happy days in Texas.
Yeah.
And thanks to our sponsor, Dr. Pepper,
This message has been brought to you.
for Suicide Cult Watch once again. All right.
All right, let's move on. Well, fellas,
Heller.
Hi there.
there are some people who we need to give thanks
Yes.
to. Yes, and the little people.
Yes.
I'd like to thank the little people. These are people who have decided that they value what we do. They love our sexy male voices, and have been lured by those baritone tones to give us money.
Yay.
And that is a kindness that we adore. So we owe some thanks, and thanks first to MW Unicorn.
Yay.
You're great, Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
I want you to give a patron saint to Karen.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh! You put me on the spot here. Let me search the
That's right.
the data banks here. I'm going to give Karen Saint Tony Pants, the Scarborough Bluffs, and
I love it.
yeah, and Saint Tony Pants, of course, is the patron saint of convection cookery. And the Battle of Hastings, and the patron saint of the late Tony the Tiger.
Ooh.
Oh,
Late.
hey, you know what?
Breaking news here.
Let me tell you something. That saint is great.
Was it the cocaine? Was it the cocaine that got him?
It was the cocaine. He just kept riding the dragon, chasing the
What are you
dragon.
gonna
He
do?
couldn't give it up.
Well, I think that is a very, very delightful saint. Karen should be so proud.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Karen.
And I have a very special thing. Pixelated Skeptic is giving at the level that deserves their own heaven. So that's right. We need a theremin. We need a theremin for the show.
You've got
Okay,
one.
I've decided we don't need a theremin. But we do need a heaven for Pixelated Skeptic. So I am going to provide that. It is my turn.
Oh my gosh.
I was talking the other day to a friend about what kind of a person the God of the Old Testament would have to have been. A God who created humans to be so flawed and then was outraged when they weren't perfect. A God who would make entire societies of complex beings and then, when they wouldn't obey the rules that he sporadically assigned them, wiped them all out. I used to assume that the only explanation was that God was a tyrant, an infantile bully who loved fealty and worship more than the people he demanded it from. But in this conversation with my friend, I realized that there's another possibility. Maybe the God of the Bible is just horribly incompetent. Maybe he's an okay guy who just really wasn't up to the task of creation. And lucky you, Pixelated Skeptic, because that God, well-meaning and dopey as he is not only the creator of you, me, and everything that surrounds us, but also the heaven to which you'll go as your earthly journey ends. Welcome to Dopey Heaven. Imagine the Ed Wynn-like moron who inspired the Old Testament. Oh, let's see. First, I'll separate light from darkness. Yes, I always hated when they were all mixed up together. And I'll put some land, and I'll put some water, and I'll sprinkle some plants and some animals. And people, yes, people, what a splendid idea. People, I'll give them dangly bits and jiggly bits and hearts and brains and logic and reason. Logic and reason? Don't let's be silly. This bumbling dingbat, who gave humans raging animal sex drives and then commanded them not to act on them, who sent cryptic messages from burning bushes, who took 10 plagues to convince a king to let his people go. 10! Imagine how stupid this God is, that it takes him 10 plagues to convince a pharaoh of something, when that same God is capable of mind control. This is the God who convinced the people who was convinced that people needed a set of absolute rules of what kind of ossifrages and marmots they could eat, and what they had to do in order to save themselves and others from the monthly uncleanness that he had inflicted upon them for no apparent reason. He created chaos and demanded order, and was baffled when none of it worked. Now everybody... Oh, I wrote another Ed Wynn quote for myself. Apparently, I really like my Ed Wynn impression.
Your Ed Wynn is very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll just continue on. Now everybody just obey a simple set of 300 rules and a subset of 240 guidelines. And if you'll all turn your attention to addendum number 1153, you'll see that... Wait, why aren't you all paying attention? It's all so easy. If you'll just refer to... Oh, this is impossible. You know what? I think I'll just start over. You there, old man, want to learn how to make a boat? That's the creator of your heaven, pixelated skeptic. That's who you have to thank for what's in store. And what is in store, you might ask? Well, brace yourself for the splendor. Your God has created for you absolute perfection, an ideal eternity where everything is wonderful all the time. Truly nirvana. Just as God designed, you'll arrive at the pearly gates to be greeted by St. Peter and judged worthy or not of entry. Except that the Lord did not plan this well, and there is a horrible traffic jam of millions of people trying to get in, with more arriving every second. Peter's only one guy, after all. Never mind. You needn't wait for Peter's judgment. You know you're worthy of heaven. You gave to the how-to heretic. Also, you notice that the walls of heaven aren't really that high and are super easy to climb, and since you know that the God of the Bible can totally be tricked or caught out on a technicality, you just skip the line and jump the fence. Boom, you're in. Now you head to your assigned home, a luxurious villa where every comfort is afforded you. Except pillows. God has decided they were weird and funny looking, and maybe they were mocking his hair, so he banned them. But everything else is wonderful. All your food will be provided for you. The Lord God, in his wisdom, assembled the most accomplished team of chefs to plan the ideal menu for every resident of heaven. Of course, he had some ideas about what was okay to eat and what was culinarily no-go. He discussed various foods and preparations at length with his chefs, going over every ingredient and preparation available in the known universe. He went through every recipe with a fine-toothed comb, so you'll have the ideal heaven experience. You know, because he loves you. What he finally landed on was spinach. He thought that sounded wholesome. So that's what you get. Forever.
Oh.
Sorry. But your entertainment will be fun. The Lord has prepared for you a panoply of delights, including gladiator fights, which are highly entertaining but sadly no longer allowed. Strip clubs that are entirely off limits. Movies and plays that are so fun they're definitely not going to be okay. And countless more things that you won't be able to participate in. There are other idiosyncrasies, of course, to your heaven. Corners and angles are apparently displeasing unto the Lord, so everything has curves. Most places smell like a burning animal carcass, the Lord's most pleasing odor. And at some point he decided he really liked a certain blue tartan plaid, so a lot of stuff is painted in that. But really, trust me, it's going to be super fun. So there you have it, your heaven. I'm required to say that you'll love it, lest I be smitten. and you'll be required to enjoy it forever. Hooray!
Hooray, pixelated skeptic. That's whew.
That God
Yeah.
sounds like Rodney Dangerfield's character from Caddyshack.
Right? Yeah. I considered, instead of Ed Wynn, going with George W. Bush, but I didn't want to go political about it. So.
Oh, well, there's a long list of idiots to choose from.
Yes, indeed.
And if you want to join the ranks of the heaven bound or the besainted, you can certainly do that if you go to howtoheretic.com, push the Patreon button, put in a number, keep putting in a number, don't stop putting in a number. And if you can't support us that way, well then, by God, head over to iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you can give us a 5-star review. Say something nice about your uncles. We're not going to live that much longer. So with that, I guess we should move on.
Here we go.
Uncle Doug,
Yo.
you know, I find in this modern age that I sometimes I don't know where to turn to for up-to-the-minute, really informative, useful stories and knowledge about how to live in this, in this modern life.
I have an idea.
Do you?
There's a certain little book. The most.
It is Mao Zedong's Little Red
That's
Book.
right.
I was going to say, I feel like little doesn't really apply.
No, that's true.
Where can I find tips, pro tips for the kids?
Tips and tricks.
On how to live a good and decent life in this crazy workaday world of ours.
Well, I hate to jump in here, fellas, but I have an idea that won't apply to that,
Perfect.
and that is God's Holy Bible.
Hooray!
Yes.
Are we all ready for
Hooray!
a Bible story, kids?
Always.
Okay. Well, this is a good one. This one's one of the ones that the kids all love.
And listeners out there, especially young ones, take note because there's going to be a lot of good info in this.
Yes, you're going to learn valuable moral and life lessons.
Yeah.
And that is what's fun about this one is that we're not just going to cover one story. I'm going to cover an entire book of the Bible.
Oh, dear
which
God.
I was surprised to learn because usually those are interminably long and painful to read. But no,
Which one are you going to cover?
the Bible book of Jonah is only 4 chapters long, so it's an easy, quick read, and as we all know, a very fascinating story. So let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
We find the rule about not going swimming for an hour after you eat, right?
That's the one, or rather,
Because you'll take a cramp.
or if you go swimming, then somebody else will eat. We'll get to it.
Okay.
So, as so many of these stories start off, it's so funny. I actually watched a YouTube video that was like an animated version of this story. And as they have to do with so many of the Bible stories, they invented so much filler to try and make this story have a good narrative structure.
Right.
But we're not going to do that. We're just going to stick with how the Bible basically does it, which is we launch in immediately.
Right.
The Lord says to Jonah, we have not been told who the fuck Jonah is or like why we care about Jonah or anything like that. We just know that he's the son of a guy. That's all we know. The Lord said to Jonah, son of whatever, go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it because its wickedness has come up before me.
Yeah, it feels like there was a reel missing in this film.
Yeah, exactly. We Act 1 is entirely gone, and we're just diving into Act 2. And so, yes, so the Lord has told him to go to Nineveh, which is a huge city, 150,000 people or something like that. And he's got and preach against it, which is basically the worst job God gives to people.
Yeah.
And we all
Right.
have seen people to whom God has given this job because they're standing at the subway station or on the corner in the park yelling at us.
And in the Bible times, it was very hard for a guy who was given that job to get insurance because they're what you call a short timer.
Yeah, you may not last tremendously long in this, but that's okay. Our friend Jonah was actually smarter than these guys and decided to run away from the Lord.
Oh.
Literally, that is what it says. It says that he ran away from the Lord to a place called Tarshish. He went to another town, jumped on a boat, paid the fare, and did all this literally, and it re-emphasizes, quote, to flee from the Lord. Now, this represents what
I was going to say. Not a lot of people know that is actually the town that tartar sauce is named for, and I think that's going to come full circle eventually.
Right. Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think that this represents in Jonah a reasonably huge misunderstanding of what the Lord is,
Right.
apparently.
Okay. Right.
But there you go. He's going to flee from him. So they get on the boat, and immediately the Lord sends a storm big enough to break the ship. The sailors all pray to their various gods for help, and Jonah apparently is a deep sleeper. Because he has fallen asleep on the boat down below decks and is not awakened by this tempest. So the captain of the ship, very rudely, I think, wakes him up and tells him that he has to start praying too because we're all terrified.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I thought
Feels
so.
like the captain should have better things to do at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, apparently he was on deck looking around like, is everybody praying? Good. Hey, where's that other guy? Why isn't he up here praying with us? So he wakes him up to pray. The sailors do an interesting thing. They decide to cast lots to see who God is mad at. So they roll some dice, and apparently they point at Jonah. And they're like, Jonah, and here's what's funny. The sailors are apparently either idiots or just very passive-aggressive, because when the lots point to Jonah, they all look at him and say, do you know who might have pissed God
Is there
off?
something you should tell us?
And by the way, where are you from again? And who are your people? To which Jonah says that he is an Hebrew, and proclaims that he feared the Lord, the God of heaven, which hath made the sea and the dry land. Which was not super smart, because he apparently had told everybody already that he was fleeing from said God. So they were all like, so then what do you think we should do to appease this God of yours, so that he doesn't wreck our boat and kill all of us?
Yeah, so he's got a strong misunderstanding of fleeing from an omnipotent presence and about being incognito.
Right. We will find that Jonah is a ding-dong from start to finish.
Jonah is like Samson level intelligence.
He puts Samson to shame. Samson comes out seeming like a goddamn philosopher compared to this dope.
And I just want to touch on something earlier in the story. What a strange thing for religious people to blame the weather on a failure to appease God.
Right.
Like I'm so glad that's not a thing anymore.
Whoever heard of that? Anyway, so Jonah says, so the sailors are basically like, what should we do to appease this God of yours that you have very clearly pissed the fuck off? And Jonah, knowing that he served a batshit crazy, bloodthirsty God, and in a move totally consistent with what we know of his personality so far, said, I guess you better throw me overboard. Whew.
What?
This was his solution. Now, interestingly, and to their credit, I think, the sailors were like, I mean, we were kind of hoping for more of a spanking machine or a really stern talking to or something. Murder feels a little much.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So they kept trying. They kept rowing their boat, trying to get to land, but it was not working. So finally, they prayed, apparently to his God, dear Jonah's God. We totally get that you're mad at this dude, and that's fair and all, but isn't it a little bullshit to kill all of us just to teach him a lesson? And now to make it better, we have to murder this guy? Why do we have to become murderers just to satisfy your shitty whims? But,
yeah.
when the Lord wants a murder, so They chucked him overboard. And then the seas were calmed, at which point the sailors, realizing that they were dealing with a lunatic, offered a sacrifice to their new insane god and, quote, made vows.
Wait, another sacrifice? Wasn't Jonah a human sacrifice?
Yeah, kind of, but then they just to be on the safe side, they probably killed a cow or something. I don't know. I don't know what you have on a ship.
made vows.
What do you have on a boat?
I like to think that they all got married because a captain can do that.
That's true. That's what they did later, but that didn't make the book.
That was the vows.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes, they all made vows. That's
Yes.
a nice time. Meanwhile, Jonah, as we all know, was swallowed by a fish.
Yes.
Now, as I don't know if you know this about fish digestion, but when you're in the belly of a fish, nothing bad happens to you, and there's plenty of air.
Right.
Right.
So there he goes into the belly of the fish. But this was a godfish, and he can breathe and stuff. So
Now,
What body of water is this supposed to have been in?
you know, I actually didn't look that up. I don't know if Tarshish is something that I could even look up, but somewhere between the town of Tarshish and whatever the other town was that started with a P that I didn't write down, that he left from.
so
Right.
the fact that it's a giant fish or a great fish, depending on the version,
Yeah.
and not a whale, because typically in song and stuff it's Jonah and the whale,
Right.
is a huge, like, kind of almost like apologetic for Christians. When you're like, well, it was a whale, and they're like, oh, it was actually a great fish. I remember myself doing that, not understanding what point I was trying to prove.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You figured it out. It's solved now. Great. The difference
okay.
between a whale and a fish.
The difference is, if you got swallowed by a whale, you could possibly survive because at least there's air in there.
Is there?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I think there's something in there.
Why would there be air in a whale's
There's no
belly?
air.
That's a good question.
If there's air in a fish, it just is at the surface because it's full of air.
Yeah. There's
Right.
literally no air for anybody in. If you're in a sea-dwelling creature's stomach, if you're in my stomach, there's no air for you. I will just burp it up, and then it'll just be so. Like there is no air.
Maybe
in
there's methane.
Well,
something.
Well, hold on. I'm currently on the Answers in Genesis website
Okay.
where it says,
Does it talk about a fish snorkel?
well, it's talking about Jonah, and it says, to defend the Bible, some people have gone hunting for scientific explanations. What fish is big enough to swallow a man? How could Jonah breathe underwater? How could he survive the digestive juices? Which is a nice thing. There are plausible explanations for each of these questions.
No, there are not.
But okay, yeah, you go on, and I'll review these and see if they're worth discussing.
No, they're not. Let's just assume that they're not and move on.
Right.
So Jonah, while he's in the fish, very wisely prayed. But then what else is there to do, I suppose, if you're in a fish? Chapter 2 of Jonah is basically one long prayer. It's just Jonah doing Monty Python's Meaning of Life prayer. Oh, Lord, ooh, you are so big, so absolutely huge. Gosh, we're all really impressed down here, I can tell you. It's basically that. It's one long that. He's basically, for lo, I was in the sea, and it was rough, and you done made a fish me eat me, and saved me, so thanks for that. And then God was very pleased by this prayer, and made the fish puke him out. So after the Lord had the fish puke him out, he came back to Jonah and said, "So remember that whole errand that I decided to send you on that you ran away from? How about you go do that now?"
So wait, hang on. So he spit did this fish spit him out on dry land, or is he now in the middle of the ocean with serious skin irritation?
I guess dry land.
Okay.
You guys should know
There's a
that,
hole in the story.
according to Ken Ham in Answers in Genesis, he claims 2 marine scientists from SeaWorld in San Diego have hypothesized that was a great white shark that probably swallowed Jonah. Well, there's something that happens with great whites just before the swallowing. That is shredding you to bits.
Yeah, it does seem like that would be. But this was one of those dopey. I thought, I actually did Google largest fish in the world, which is a whale shark, and
Right.
the whale sharks, they're pretty docile. They eat plankton. They don't have big teeth, so maybe
Yeah, they don't live in that part of the world.
Yeah, shush. Everybody just shut up, I think is the answer to all of this. And yes, just so you know, in Jonah chapter 2, verse 10, the last verse of the chapter, the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land.
Aquaman
So
powers.
God is Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes, God is Jason Momoa.
And also, I might have missed this while I was trying to scan this great information in Answers in Genesis, but according to them, he was in there for 3 days and 3 nights.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay, good. So that's
Why do we
all
always
that
in the
makes
Bible? Why do we always have to say "and nights"?
Well, because, you could do 3 days, but that could only be like 2 nights.
Yeah, but
You could also do four nights and 3 days. You never know. So you got to. I mean, it's a lot longer or shorter, depending.
okay.
Fellas, it's accuracy. It's all fucking about the accuracy, okay?
3 days and 2 nights, I can believe. But
Right,
3 days and
right.
3 nights, come on.
Come on. Now you're straining plausibility. God. Anyway, we get now to Jonah chapter 3, where Jonah is now sent again to Nineveh, where he goes, and and it's a big city. It takes several days if you want to just walk through the whole thing, which he does, and he goes through and he cries and says, hey, you guys, just so you know, in 40 days, God, my God, not your God, my God, will destroy Nineveh.
I just have one question. How many nights?
So that's a little slippery. I don't think he knew the night's situation.
The only 2 people that have ever measured time, the only 2 like institutions that measure time in that way is the Bible and when you win a trip on a game show. It's like 4 days and 3 nights in Cabo, right?
Right. Yes, exactly.
The only 2. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Now, you know what you guys know of human nature, of the way that people are. When a foreigner, a stranger, comes into a new place and says, my God trumps your God, and you're all going to be destroyed in 40 days, how does everyone react?
I assume they take him at his word.
They literally just go, oh shit, really? And believe him.
Is that true?
They
Really?
do that 100%. The king decides, oh fuck, takes off his kingly robes and wears sackcloth and sits in the dust, and then commands all of the people that they shouldn't eat anything for a bit. No eating and drinking. Everybody put on sackcloth. And by the way, don't let your animals eat and drink either, and put sackcloth on them. Everything that's alive in this city, we're all going to just pray to this dude's God and ask him to be nice and not destroy us. It is literally the most credulous society that has ever been on the face of the earth.
The king is starting to sound like the president of San Marcos in Bananas.
Yeah. Also, I don't think you guys fully appreciate the power at the credence at the time that was given to a stranger who showed up smelling strongly of fish.
Right.
So, is that the first reference to sackcloth and ashes in the Bible?
Well, hell if I know.
And what's that about? What's the whole point of that?
The Lord loves it if you dress badly. Okay. That is a sweet savor unto the Lord. So there you go. Basically, the entire city of hundreds of thousands repent instantly of all of their bad doings, because the whole thing was that God was pissed at them for crying out against him. They all repent of their violent ways, change their personalities entirely, and cry out unto the Lord, and hope that the Lord will forgive them, which he does.
Boy, this is
Wow.
unexpected turns in this story.
Well, it gets better because we're now onto the final chapter of Jonah, in which Jonah sees that the Lord has saved them. He's not going to destroy the country or the city. He has accepted their repentance, and Jonah is pissed.
What?
Jonah is livid because Nineveh was his people's enemy. And the whole reason that he fled for Tarshish was that he didn't want God to show mercy to them because they were enemies.
So he wasn't a coward. He was an asshole.
He was a fucking dick. There's your twist, Shyamalan. Enjoy that shit.
This is a Monite twist.
Yeah. Yes,
That's
indeed.
That's a decent literary twist for the Bible, which generally has none.
Right, or they're just so random that it doesn't even count as a twist. It's just a full about face.
Right.
No, so yes, Jonah basically said, he prayed unto the Lord and said, I pray thee, O Lord, was not this my saying when I was yet in my country? Therefore I fled before unto Tarshish, for I knew that thou art a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And of great kindness, and repentest thee of evil. Therefore now, O Lord, take, I beseech thee, my life from me, for it is better for me to die than live. That's how pissed off about this he was. He was like, fine, if you're not going to kill all of them, just kill me, because my life's not worth living anymore now that they're okay in your good graces.
Because he rooted for the rival team.
Well, he rooted for destruction of his yeah. I mean, it's basically like you not only do you want your rival team to lose, but they all have to be destroyed. And if they're not destroyed, well, just murder me then. What's the point of life now? So Jonah. Jonah's,
he's pretty suicidal, I have to say. This guy is constantly trying to get himself killed in this story.
He really works at it. And it happens again. Yeah. You ready for this? So Jonah goes out of the city, finds a little hill to sit and in the shadow of. And
he's swallowed by a pelican.
I love this. The King James translation is delightful because it says, he went out, sat on the east side of the city. There made him a booth and sat under it in the shadow. I love that he made a booth.
A booth for kissing.
And because he wanted to see what was going to happen to the city. Now, I don't know what that means. What is he expecting? The Lord has just said he's not going to destroy the city. So there's not much of a show that will happen.
Maybe he's thinking they'll fall away again or something.
Maybe he's just turned on by people in sackcloth. I don't know. But he decides to just watch the city as a show.
From his booth.
Yes. And as this happens, the Lord prepared a gourd for him.
Oh.
Which other translations say the Lord causes a leafy plant to grow over him. But I prefer the King James, and the Lord prepared a gourd.
We all know it's a Lord gourd. It's a Lord gourd.
Everybody loves a Lord gourd, and made it to come up over Jonah, that he might be a shadow, that it might be a shadow over his head. To deliver him from his grief. Because let me tell you something, when you're sitting and watching a city, what makes you feel better?
A gourd
than a giant shade gourd.
That's always the top three things on my Christmas list are gourds.
But then God made a worm. And this is a bullshit maneuver on God's part, which ate the gourd, and the next day in the next morning, the gourd withered, and I guess Jonah got a sunburn or something.
Didn't he have a booth?
You'd think the booth would do it, but I guess not.
Well, the Lord also made a Gila monster, which ate the booth. Very straight. He works in really fucking mysterious ways.
Yeah. So
how fast does a worm eat? Like, can't you kind of intervene at some point to save your gourd?
Well, you'd think, but I think Jonah wasn't paying attention. He was too busy watching the sackcloth.
And as a ginger, I have sought shade many times in my life.
Yes, indeed.
Never once under a gourd.
Well, that's the more fool you. Anyway, the sun beat down upon the head of Jonah, and he fainted and wished in himself to die and said, "It is better for me to die than live." This guy is the most suicidal of all of them.
He is really depressed. And, he's sitting on this hill with a gourd and a booth and a worm and really nostalgically looking back at his time in a fish.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
And the Lord said unto Jonah, is it a good thing for you to be mad about this gourd? Dost thou well to be angry for the gourd? And he said, I do well to be angry, even unto death.
What
He
the
is
fuck?
the most obstinate man ever. Then said the Lord, Thou hast pity on the gourd for the which thou hast not labored, neither madest it grow, which came up in a night and perished in a night.
Okay.
And he
This
said,
story needs to be
this
called
is-
Jonah and the Gourd. from
Yes,
now
it
on.
does. And this is meant.
More gourd than fish.
Exactly.
This is meant to be a parable about Nineveh. He said because he didn't. I'm not really sure how it works. Maybe we need to get
Hold on,
Rabbi
I'm back
Gruber on here because he
Back on Answers in Genesis.
he would know. He's had to read it every Yom Kippur since he was a child, probably.
Right.
Anyway, so therefore, I will end with the final verse in the entire book of Jonah, which is the Lord expounding on this whole gourd business. It says, this is chapter 4, verse 11, And should not I spare Nineveh, that great city, wherein are more than 60,000 persons that cannot discern between their right hand and their left hand, and also much cattle? Here endeth the lesson.
I did not see the cattle twist coming.
So there you go.
There's a lot of morals to derive from that story.
Yeah, I mean,
Number one, don't commit crime with Jonah.
yeah. Well,
I did it, and so did he.
Throw me over the boat. I want to die.
You know what, guys? We had to, if we have a listener that's a chef or something, we had to start making, Bible story recipes. It's like
Yeah.
a fish gourd kind of preparation. I think that would and worm, obviously. I think
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Yes, exactly. Gourd. If you have a nice gourd worm dish, that's going to be a delicious treat
You
for
have
all.
to. It's like the Iron Chef. You have to use every ingredient mentioned in the book of the Bible. So Leviticus is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the fish was barely in the story. This
Yeah,
is truly the
yeah.
story of Jonah and a gourd.
Yes, indeed, and the magic temper tantrums. So there you have it. That's the entire book of Jonah. One of the equally baffling things. Nothing good to be learned here.
Nope.
Yeah, my head feels like a gourd that got eaten by a worm.
Yeah, I think we've all been worm gored. Did.
All right. Well, with that incredible morality tale to dwell on, we should all take a little time and think about it. So
Yes, indeed.
let's move on.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Hey, if you've got a gourd that's giving you shade, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986, if your compound has been blown up by the federal government.
Right? Also, twit at whatever the Twitter is.
Yeah, you can find me at HowToHeretic on Twitter. It's a good time.
Thanks so much to our patrons once more.
And thanks to Cody Layton, who is the fish that swallowed us, for editing our show.
And thank all of you for tuning in.
Bye, friends.
Ta-ta!